What's up, everyone? Today we're reacting to a long NBA discussion focused on Giannis Antetokounmpo, his injury situation, and what this means for the Milwaukee Bucks moving forward. There's a lot of speculation, strong opinions, and big picture thinking here. So let's break it all down together. If you enjoy NBA reaction content like this, make sure to like the video and subscribe.
Have my attention.
All right. Before we move on, this hasn't been announced yet as we're recording this, but the expectation from what I am told is that Giannis Antetokounmpo was correct when he self-diagnosed himself on Friday night as having a calf injury that was going to be out 4 to 6 weeks. I am told that that's the realm that it's going to be in. His second calf injury this season, his fourth in the last year and a half plus.
Time to trade him. By Nico time to trade him. 4 calf strains, he's out.
I mean, I will say this, like, independent of the trade situation, let's just say that the trade situation wasn't a thing at all. The 4 calf strains in a year and a half it's not a good development. And not only that, but these calf strains are to both calves. And I think this one is his right one. And they're happening when he's just sort of they're happening in games, but they're happening, he's not like leaping or anything like that. He's just sort of jogging or walking or jogging. And a couple of times he's given the look back, like, where did that come from? So independent of everything else, that's not ideal. Bottom line, he's going to be out through the trade deadline, and he is not going to have his 65 games, so he's not going to be eligible to win awards. I have no idea what's going to happen to the Bucks. In the NBA, right when you think you've got everything assessed, things go sideways. But the Bucks are 15.
You have an idea, but go on.
Well, they play tonight, but they're 15-15 when he
Probably
plays, and they're 3-11 when he doesn't. So the idea that they're going to just be A-okay is you would be in the minority on that. As we sit here right now, Milwaukee has the 8th worst record in the league at 18-26. Again, we'll see what happens tonight. But Bontemps, even if everything goes as the way Giannis and the Bucks have said publicly, and there's no trade, forget about that. And he's going to miss 4 to 6. Should the Bucks just sit him down and say see ya next year and worry about the draft pick?
Yes. Giannis Antetokounmpo shouldn't play again this season. Like, let's just call it like
Bucks,
it is.
At least.
I mean, yes, for the Bucks. He should not be traded, I would say. And they should shut him down. Like, he's had all the recurring calf issues, and those are, as we've seen, those are scary. And here's the deal. For all we've talked about with the Bucks and all the problems that they have, they obviously do not have a good enough roster. They have stunk when Giannis hasn't played this season. I believe they're 3-11 in games he hasn't played. That is unlikely to be any better without him going forward. They've struggled with him, frankly. They haven't looked good lately. Maybe that's because of the trade stuff. Maybe that's because they don't have a very good roster, whatever. But over the course of the year, they've been a mediocre to bad team with or without him. And without him, they've been really bad. And at this point, right now, if you take a hard look at the Bucks roster, Ryan Rollins is
Early in the discussion, the injury itself already feels like a huge red flag. 4 calf injuries in about a year and a half is scary, especially when they're happening during simple movements, not explosive plays. Even without talking about trades, it sounds like something is clearly not right physically. You can feel the shift from short-term injury to long-term concern pretty quickly.
good young player on a good contract. Miles Turner is at least an average starting center, maybe slightly above, but probably average on an okay contract. And then they've got Giannis. And that's basically it. Bobby Portis is an okay third big. So if you want to construct a path to the Bucks being able to convince Giannis that this is a place he can win long term, here's what it is. He basically is out the rest of the season. They are already, as you said, 8th in the lottery standings. They can fall pretty quick, pretty far in those lottery standings with the roster they have. They have a real shot, I think, to be in or around the top 5 in the draft. Now, yes, they don't have full control of their pick, but as we've talked about, they get the lesser of their pick and New Orleans' pick. There's a real chance that's the second pick in the draft,
yeah, this could be a good
third pick in the draft, the fourth pick in the draft. But let's say they get super lucky. Let's say it's the second pick. Let's say the Hawks get 1 and they get 2, which is not out of the realm of possibility, especially with the new rules. We've seen all sorts of teams from anywhere from 1 to 10 get the number 1 or number 2 pick. So if they come out of the draft with the second or third or fourth pick and they get a Caleb Wilson or a AJ DeBanza, let's in this scenario say DeBanza, and
that's
you have Giannis. Well, you have AJ DeBanza, you have Ryan Rollins.
I mean, I don't think they're getting AJ DeBanza because I think AJ DeBanza could be the number 1 pick, and if they have to swap, they're not going to have the number 1 pick. But okay, let's just say it's a good player.
Well, as of right now, I would say AJ DeBanza will not be the number 1 pick. He'll probably be the second or third pick. But either way, whether it's Cam Boozer or Darren Peterson or AJ DeBanza.
The people I talk to think he's going to be the number 1 pick. But
yes, this is a historically great draft. The point is, yes, you discovered AJ DeBanza. We're aware. The point is, whoever of those guys they get, they all have chances to be generational players. This has got a chance to be an unbelievable draft. If you get one of those guys, you put them with Turner, Rollins, and Giannis. They then have draft picks and salaries to go trade for another impact player, preferably a perimeter player, to balance out the roster. That is at least a path where you could sit down with Giannis this summer and say, hey, look, we've got a young stud who's going to be with you now for a long time. We've got a really good, at minimum, 3-and-D guard, maybe better than that. We've got Miles Turner to space the floor for you, and we're going to get this other impact player, whoever that player is, as the other perimeter scorer to go with them. We think with you healthy, this team could be a real force in the East going forward. Do you want to stay? And see if he wants to extend or not. But because of this injury...
May I also point out that as of right now, the Bucks have 1 first-round pick they're allowed to trade, either 2031 or 2032. After July 1st, and look, I'm not advising.
This is where the conversation turns more strategic. The idea of shutting Giannis down for the rest of the season actually starts to make sense. The Bucks aren't winning with him, and they're awful without him. At this point, pushing him back just to chase a low playoff seed feels risky and pointless. Sitting him might be the smartest move for both his health and the franchise.
That they trade, do more mortgaging, but these guys, Dan Gilbert and Matt Ishbia are looking at this team going, whoa, I've never seen mortgages like this. In theory, I will just say that today, as we sit here today, the Bucks have 1 first they can trade. On July 1st, they can trade 3. They could in theory, they could trade this year's pick, and they could trade 31 and 33. Look, I'm not saying they could do this, but I'm just saying just to buttress what you're saying, Bontemps.
Well, in this scenario, they wouldn't trade this year's pick, but they'd have the 2 future ones to trade.
If you're going to mortgage it, you could mortgage it.
Well, because if in this scenario,
okay, well, let's say they end up with the 8th pick. They're not going to get AJ DeBanza.
When they did the Dame stretch and wave and Miles Turner, what did you compare that to financially, Wendy? You had a good
I said it was mortgaging your mortgage to buy a sports car.
Yes. So they've done enough of that.
The point is, the roster right now has no chance of being competitive in the Eastern Conference. But the way this has broken, if they do take a gap year, which is essentially what it could be, and they get a, Tim Duncan to go with David Robinson type scenario, which with the top of this draft this year, if they get one of the top 2 or 3 picks, it's got a chance to be that kind of player. Like Cameron Boozer has better numbers than Cooper Flagg did last year. I'm not sure he's going to be that good of a player.
Let's say, okay, that's a little bit out, but they could get the 7th or 8th pick.
They could get the second pick. But these are all perfectly within the realm.
I'm just saying they could if they wanted to go to market this summer with what would be Kyle Kuzma's $20 million expiring contract as the base of a trade. And up to 3 firsts, including the pick that they get in the lottery.
Sure, I'm just saying they could have $35 million in expiring money plus one of the top 3. It's very real. They have if he doesn't play the rest of the year, they're going to have a very real chance of doing just what Philly did last year.
Even if he does play, and instead of they shut him down for the full 6 weeks, and then they shut him down a little early, like in April. Like I said, they're in 8th right now. You're not going to need magic dust to get in 6-7.
We just got done talking about Philadelphia. Last year, Philadelphia had the completely disastrous season, and that's a good line. And they got VJ Edgecombe out of the draft, and that coupled with their guys getting healthy has flipped their franchise around. There is a path to the Bucks falling into the exact same scenario that the Sixers did, where they get the second or third pick in the draft, they get Cam Boozer or DeBancer or Darren
Can
Peterson.
I just stop you? I don't
and then
want
they
to
can
keep
also
talking
make a
about
trade,
this,
and then you can go to Giannis and say, "What do you want to do?"
I know they have to swap their pick. So you're assuming that both they and New
Here, the draft talk really kicks in, and it changes everything. Once they start laying out how strong this upcoming draft could be, you understand why being bad this season might actually help the Bucks. The possibility of landing a top pick and pairing a young star with Giannis gives them at least a believable path forward. It's not guaranteed, but it's way more hopeful than what they're doing right now.
Orleans jump up. I mean, I would need Pelton to run the math.
New
here.
Orleans might not have to jump up. They might
Well,
just
they have to get a top 4 pick to do that.
Well, the Pelicans are going to be one of the worst teams in the league, and the Bucks are going to be one of the worst teams in the league.
I agree.
So
it's not impossible.
Yes, they need some.
I'd like to just slow your roll on them having the third pick.
Can I just simplify things real quick? There's no benefit in Giannis playing for the Bucks again this season. Right. There's only downside. There is upside in that you continue to slide or rise, as you want to say, in the lottery standings. And the Bucks pick situation is very similar to the Mavs pick situation in the sense that this is the only year between now and 2031 that you can benefit from being bad. And it's a good year to be bad because how loaded this draft is at the top. Now, you guys are talking about, okay, hey, how can you use that to rapidly reconstruct and try to put together a contender around Giannis, which, look, that's obviously been the goal of this franchise year after year after year after year after year. The other thing, though, is you look at it and say, hey, if Giannis finally says, fellas, can I get out of here? Which he keeps hinting at and passive-aggressively doing all this crap. If that finally happens, having this pick puts you in a position where it's still going to be tough, with the picks you don't have moving forward for the next 4 years, but you at least have a piece to build around, kind of like the Mavericks. They're in a very similar situation to the Mavericks, except for the Mavericks already traded the face of their franchise, and the Bucks, are trying desperately not to reach that point.
Well, it goes without saying that obviously is another path the Bucks can take, but a big part of why, in talking to people around the league, they thought the Bucks needed to do a deal now for Giannis was because it was likely the best asset they would get back in the trade was their pick this year, and their pick this year being high. So by Giannis being hurt and not available, and now that he's going to be short of all the awards and they're not going to be a playoff team, there's really no incentive to have him play when he has had a series of these leg injuries.
You still might have to trade Giannis, but this adds a pretty satisfactory option, which is...
Yeah, it gives you the benefit of having that pick without trading him, and it gives you the ability to go to him this summer with the possibility of either moving on from him and getting a ton back in a trade, or being able to construct a roster that you could realistically say is good enough to be a factor, and maybe it's enough to get him to extend.
I would tell Giannis, there's a jet at General Milwaukee Airport with a full tank. You can go to Athens. Go home.
Yeah.
Be with your
family.
Take
Thanasis if you want.
Go home. Be with your family. We'll send a therapist out there to make sure your calf is okay. When the snow melts and the lottery is near, we'll send for you. Just don't worry about it. That's not the craziest thing that you could do.
And you know what else this does? This should save the Bucks from doing something stupid before the trade deadline. Oh, let's make a move to win now when you're the 11th place team in the Eastern Conference. And you've already got all the picks out the door until 2031.
If Giannis is out for 6 weeks, we're already into mid-March.
Yeah, this injury is it's distressing because again, it's the fourth time he hurt his calf, and whether Giannis is a Buck or whether Giannis is Team X, that's a concern. However, this injury happening now deals the Bucks a few more cards. That's the point we're trying to make here. So just keep an eye on that situation, and we'll see what happens. I would say that just the teams out there that were interested in Giannis being traded, some people saw the injury and said, well, that's it. He's never going to play for them again. And I was like, well, maybe. But
I've thought that too many times to keep thinking it.
I know.
But,
all right.
What these injuries overall do seem to indicate is that, and again, these are famous last words, and I always caveat everything that we didn't see Luka getting traded. But with AD hurt, with Giannis hurt, with Jimmy Butler hurt, you're seeing a lot of teams all of a sudden between Golden State having less incentive to really go all in on a trade, and it's seemingly unlikely Giannis will be traded, seemingly unlikely AD will be traded. You're pretty quickly running out of a lot of spice happening over the next 10 days. Again, famous last words on that, but this is, at least from the conversations I'd had with people over the last couple of days, it is shaping up to be a fairly quiet deadline where we've only had one trade all season so far.
Ooh, we got breaking news here, and I know Wendy can't wait to get to this. Oh, Wendy, do you want to read it? Jonathan Kuminga injury update, fresh from the Golden State Warriors presses. Golden State Warriors forward Jonathan Kuminga, who exited Thursday's game at Dallas with 3:52 remaining in the second quarter due to a sore left knee, underwent an MRI on Friday. The MRI confirmed that Kuminga has a bone bruise as a result of the hyperextension injury. His progress will be monitored, and a reevaluation date will be determined in the coming days. Uh-oh. Emergency pod? We need to go another hour?
Wait, hold on. Let me find out where Slater is. We're gonna tape with Slater and
he's in the backyard. It ain't
jam it to the front.
Oh no, actually he's in Minnesota.
In all seriousness, when Jimmy Butler got hurt, it was an opportunity and frankly a need for Jonathan Kuminga to play a real role for the Warriors. Without him, because they don't have a lot of guys.
30 minutes.
Right. And without him, like, the Warriors are going to have a hard time winning any games for a while with the lack of shot creation they've got outside of Steph.
Utah, move down. Milwaukee, move down.
Well,
Dallas,
I'm not
move
saying
down.
That, but I will say
the tanking pool needs another seat.
Well, I will say that as of today, I think the Warriors are the 10th best team in the West. I don't think they're as good as the Clippers, and I don't think they're as good as Portland.
The Thunder, who
just lost to the Pacers.
We're not going to cry for them. That's true, they did. Pacers finally got a win in Oklahoma City that they needed. The Thunder are like, my God. The Clippers were...
I want that series.
Were DOA. The Clippers were DOA, and now the pick that we're going to get from the Clippers is going to be out of the lottery because all these teams are rushing back and the Clippers are zooming past.
I want so badly that Thunder Clippers series. How many storylines do you have there?
A lot.
Well, I don't think there's that many storylines. I think the Thunder would win, but the
there's 4 games worth for sure.
The Jazz have 3 plates on each hand and one between their toes to tank.
What do you mean? Yusuf Nurkic has 3 straight triple doubles, sir. That's like 30 years worth for that franchise.
Yeah, well, that's why the Mavericks are glad that their flight got canceled. Are not glad that their flight got canceled because they could have just easily rolled out a G League team today to lose in Milwaukee.
Not sure that would have won.
It would have been the Texas Legends versus the Milwaukee Herd for sure. Now they're doing it another date.
The Bucks just lost the bottom half of the Nuggets roster, so it's no guarantee they would have lost to the Mavs.
Well, that's
today.
what I'm saying. Like the Dallas had the perfect excuse to literally have Jason Kidd go out there and play 13 minutes. But that another game just got postponed. All right, we're gonna go watch football. Thank you to Jackson and Mark.
Overall, this discussion makes it clear that Giannis's injury isn't just a Bucks problem; it's a franchise-defining moment. The team has to decide whether they're protecting a superstar's future or desperately chasing relevance in a season that is already slipping away. Right now, doing nothing aggressive might actually be the smartest choice. What stands out most is how little upside there is in Giannis playing again this year. The risks are obvious, and the rewards are minimal. Shutting him down protects his body and gives Milwaukee flexibility they haven't had in years, especially with how loaded this draft class could be. At the same time, this situation exposes how thin the Bucks roster really is. Outside of Giannis, there's not much there to build around, and that's a tough reality for a team that has been trying to stay in win now mode for too long. This feels like the cost of years of mortgaging the future. In the end, whether Giannis stays or eventually leaves, this season might quietly reset the Bucks' direction. Sometimes being bad at the right time is better than being stuck in the middle. Let me know what you think the Bucks should do next, and don't forget to like the video and subscribe for more NBA reactions.